Welcome to AttorneyEstee channel. This is Estee, Aceron, Bisnar. I am licensed to practice law in California, New York, and Philippines. I receive a lot of emails asking me if I can help them get an approval of their application for a US B1, B2 visa. B1 is for Business Visitor Visa and B2 for Tourist Visa under the category B visa. Some others are even asking me if I can help them appeal the denial of their application. Unfortunately, there is no appeal process. The sole authority to approve or deny visa application under the Immigration and Nationality Act is given to consular officers at U.S. embassies and consulates. This is why lawyers are not necessary because basically there's nothing a lawyer can do. Even those agencies assisting you with the form, they cannot guarantee you the approval of your application. If your application was approved, it is because you passed eligibility tests and not because you engaged the services of an attorney or an agency in the completion of your application form. Those agencies merely help you understand the process and fill out the form, which can save you time. So, if you have money, that can be an option. Many applicants are successful without engaging the services of someone else or any agency because they just follow the step-by-step process. So what do you need to know if you are applying for a tourist visa or a B1, B2 visa? Please note that there are changes in the form that took effect on May 31st, 2019. The form now asks about social media handle or identifier. This is any name you use in social media platforms including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, among others. The purpose of this change is to have an extensive security screening to protect U.S. citizens and to support only those legitimate travel to the U.S. This video is to give you tips and present some common mistakes of applicants to help you understand why some applications are denied and sample B1, B2 interview questions and answers. Let's start with the common mistakes. The number one common mistake of applicants is that they are not clear with their purpose or they have a wrong purpose. Expect that you will be asked during the interview, what is the purpose of your trip? For example, you answered that you will meet your U.S. citizen boyfriend and you are planning to get married in the U.S. during this visit. For sure, your application will be denied because you should have applied for a different type of visa, not a tourist visa. It should be a fiancé visa, which is an entirely different visa and requires an entirely different process. What are the instances when you can apply for a B1 temporary business visitor visa? For example, you will be consulting with business associates or you're traveling for a scientific, educational, professional, or business convention or a conference on specific dates, or you're settling an estate or negotiating a contract or participating in a short-term training or other similar business purposes. How about B2 visa? If you want to tour the US or to visit friends or relatives or to undergo medical treatment or to participate in social events hosted by social or service organization in the US or join a contest and you are not being paid to participate, or to enroll in a short recreational course of study which is not for credit toward a degree, for example, a 2-day painting class while you're on vacation, then you can apply for a B2 visitor visa. So, if your answer is not parallel to either the B1 business purposes or the B2 that I previously mentioned, then you may have a problem. Now, if your purpose is to visit beautiful sites in the US, you may be asked, why tour the US right away? Why not tour the wonderful tourist destinations of closer countries? Like if you're from the Philippines, why not other Asian countries first, like Vietnam or Hong Kong? Why the US? So you will need to have a reason for this. This is the reason why some applicants try to visit other countries first before applying a US tourist visa. Or are you really the type of person who loves to tour wonderful places? Have you even visited the tourist destinations of your own country? It makes sense, right? If you have not toured other countries, this does not mean that your application will automatically be denied. As I mentioned, the sole authority is with the consular officer. So if the officer believes you and feels that you will not overstay in the US, you can still have an application approved. Another mistake, not being consistent with the information in the form and your answer during your interview. During the interview, you will be asked about the information in your DS-160. I tell you, even before the interview, the consular officer has already studied your application. So for example, he asks you about your work and you happen to be having 2 jobs and you only put one in the form, and when you were asked about that during the interview, you mentioned the other job which is not mentioned in the form. This could cause the denial of your application. I know of a person whose application was denied because of this. While you were truthful, however, you were inconsistent. So make sure you fill out the form correctly and answer the question during the interview based on the information you provided in your application, or politely explain the discrepancy. Another common mistake: failure to bring necessary documentation. During the interview, you need to bring the following: your passport, valid for at least 6 months beyond your period of stay in the U.S., your Form DS-160 confirmation page, application fee payment receipt, and photo if your photo fails to upload in your online application. Always remember that additional documents may be requested from you, like documents relating to the purpose of your trip, your intent to depart the United States after your trip, and or documentation regarding your financial capability. Now, is a letter of invitation or affidavit of support required to apply for a visitor visa? I get this question all the time, but the answer is no. A letter of invitation or affidavit of support is not a requirement to apply for a visitor visa. However, if your purpose is to attend a convention because you were invited as a guest speaker during the induction of officers of a certain organization, then you should be prepared to present this invitation when requested. So your application could be denied if some documentation is missing. Another example, you were asked about your financial capacity to travel and tour in the U.S. Proof that your transportation, medical, and living expenses in the U.S. will be paid. This may be in the form of bank or other statements of income or savings, or certified copies of your income tax returns or your credit card. If you do not have enough personal money, you can submit proof that somebody else will shoulder part or all of your necessary expenses. The government wants to be sure that you will not become a public charge in the U.S. You must demonstrate sufficient financial support during your temporary stay in the U.S. The next commonly asked question: how much money in the bank should I have? Well, the amount depends on your specific situation. Some applicants get approved even with 25,000 Philippine pesos in their account. If, for example, the officer determines that the applicant will be staying with her brother who is a nurse in the U.S., or there are other relatives who can support the applicant. So this depends on your situation. But if you don't have relatives, definitely that amount is not enough. Also, I suggest you get a credit card. It means in case something happened, then you have a backup financial plan, and that is to use your credit card. You are demonstrating that you are a responsible tourist. So it is advisable before your interview that you already have at least one credit card for your travel. Come to think of it, tourists have credit cards because most establishments don't accept cash, especially from strangers. Other documents the officer may ask: proof of your previous travel. The officer may ask you if you have traveled in other countries and will probably ask for proof. Some applicants don't bring their old passports with them, so when the officer asks, there's nothing to show because the visas issued by other countries and the arrival and departure dates were stamped in your old passport. Because you failed to present this proof, your application could be denied. So, your old passport is important because it shows there your visits to other countries. Other reason for the denial: failure to overcome the presumption of being an intending immigrant. This is the most common reason for the denial. Keep this in mind. There's a presumption that you intend to immigrate to the U.S. even if you have the sincerest intention to return to your home country. So even if you have businesses, properties in your home country, have a stable job, and most of your family members are based in your home country, the moment you applied for a B2 visa, there is a presumption. That presumption of being an intending immigrant applies to you. So what do you need to do? is to show convincing proof that you have strong ties to your home country, like your job, your home, and or your relationship with family and friends in your home country. So if you do not have a stable job in your home country, the interviewing officer might think that you will be finding your luck in the US and try to find work in the US. So during the interview, you have that burden to overcome that presumption. You have to convince the officer that you will depart the US after your temporary visit. Who are very much affected by this presumption? Those who have pending petitions by a relative. This is because your intention to return to your home country is questionable, since the petition is for you to obtain an immigrant visa, and your application now for B2 visa is a non-immigrant visa. So this means most likely you will not return to your home country, since a relative wanted you to stay in the US for good. So you need stronger evidence to show that you do not intend to immigrate to the US for the time being while the petition is pending, and that you will return to your home country before your authorized stay expires. Also, those who have boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse in the US, they should likewise provide strong proof that they will return to their home country. For example, you can say you are finishing your education in your home country, that's why you cannot permanently stay in the US, or you and your fiancé will later apply for a fiancé visa, but for now, you just want to celebrate Christmas together. So, you will hear from many applicants that they were denied because there is a pending petition in their favor. Most of the time, they were told to just wait for the processing of their petition, which unfortunately would take long years. This is very common. If denied, this simply means there were not enough proof to overcome that presumption. So, if that happens to you, feel free to share your thoughts and comment below. However, the good thing is, as I mentioned, the decision is discretionary with the consular officer. This means your application could still be approved. In fact, I know of some applicants who have a pending petition but were able to get an approval because while there's a pending petition, they were able to present satisfactory and convincing proof of their intention to return to their home country. Okay, other reasons for denial. If you were convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, convicted of a drug violation, has 2 or more criminal convictions for which the total sentences of confinement was 5 years or more, or misrepresented a material fact or committed fraud to attempt to receive a visa, or you previously stayed longer than authorized in the US. Many also ask me, in case of denial, is the fee refundable? No, the fee that you paid is a non-refundable application processing fee. Can you reapply? Generally, yes. This time, you have to make sure you present evidence of significant changes in your circumstances since your last application. This means if you were denied because you failed to show proof of strong ties in your home country, then provide additional convincing proof in your next application. To reapply, you need to undergo the same process, complete a new application form, pay the application fee, and schedule an appointment for a new interview. However, if you were denied because you attempted to receive a visa or enter the US by willfully misrepresenting a material fact or committing fraud, then this is a permanent ineligibility. So every time you apply for a visa, you will be denied for this reason. Let's go to the interview questions and answers. As to how many questions the officer will ask, well, that is purely discretionary. Sometimes applicant gets an approval after only 3 to 5 questions. So the best way is to really prepare. These are merely samples. Prepare for your interview by answering these questions according to your present circumstances. Number 1, how are you doing today? Answer, I'm fine, sir. Thank you. How about you, sir? Then, can I see your passport? Here it is, sir. Then, why do you want to go to the US? Or, what is the purpose of your trip? You can answer, I'm attending a convention in the US, or I'm visiting my family and friends in the US, or I'm turning 50 in 2 months and I would like to have a photo at the Golden Gate Bridge on my 50th birthday. If your answer is to visit family and relatives, be prepared to state their names, their relationship to you, and their address. If you say you want to tour, then what specific places you want to visit? Another question, if you would like to visit tourist destinations, why not visit other closer countries? Or why travel to the US and not to other countries? So this goes with your purpose. Because there's a convention and the convention is in Los Angeles, California, or because my sister would be touring me to different states in the US and we will visit our relatives and she will shoulder all the expenses. Then another question, why are you going to California? Again, related to the purpose. The convention will be held at Staples Centers, Los Angeles. That's why I want to visit California. Or my family and friends are mostly from California, or I want to visit Disneyland, Universal Studios, and Golden Gate Bridge, which are all in California. Have you visited other countries? Say yes. Can you name the countries you visited? Can you show me proof of your trips outside your home country? Answer, yes sir, I have been to XYZ countries and here is my passport showing visas issued by other countries and the dates of my departure and return to my home country. Where are you working at present? So if you're a student, say so. Or I'm working at the city government of X city as a legislative assistant. How much are you making per month? I'm earning 40,000 Philippine pesos per month, sir. Then if requested, show your pay stub. Who will shoulder the expenses to this trip? If business trip, then say the company will shoulder all of my expenses in the US. Or I am, sir. So show your proof if requested, like your income tax returns or your bank statements with so much deposit in your account. Or my brother will shoulder the expenses. He's a doctor in the US and he will take me to different tourist destinations in California or New York, as the case may be. Who will accompany you during this trip? Answer, I will be flying with my daughter or spouse, or I'm alone. How long do you intend to stay in the US? You can answer 7 days, 5 weeks, 8 weeks, or 5 months. So if you answer like 7 days, the officer will probably ask you why that short stay in the US. Well, you can answer, I'm just attending my brother's wedding and my boss only gave me like 12 days of vacation. Then if you're staying for 5 months, why are you staying there that long? You can answer, I have lots of relatives across the United States and they all want me to visit them. My company may not allow me in the future for this kind of trip, so I'm taking advantage of this time. Plus, the cost to travel is expensive, so I'm maximizing this trip. Do you have family and friends in the US? You can answer yes. Yes, sir, my parents or my brother or my sister. They will check here if there's a possibility that you will not return to your home country because of other possible immigration pathway. Say your US citizen spouse could petition you so you can adjust your status in the US. But be very truthful here. You really have to say if you have a US citizen daughter or spouse in the US and explain later when asked why you will definitely return to your home country. Another question, where will you be staying in the US? Well, you can answer, I'm staying in my sister's place in California, or I'm staying at a hotel near our convention center. But be prepared to present your hotel reservation. Have you been denied a US visa? Just be honest, yes sir or no sir. When did you last travel to the US? November 2019, sir? Or I haven't traveled to the US. Can you tell me your reasons why you will come back to your home country? You can answer, I'm a third-year law student and I'm just taking a break since it's summer vacation and I want to finish my law proper and become a lawyer without delay. Or I have a growing business here in Manila and my long absence will definitely adversely affect my business. Or my boss just gave me 5-week vacation and I need to report back to work in time for our annual company convention. So try to answer these questions so that during the interview you'll not be nervous and you already know the answers to those particular questions. Now for the tips. Number 1, you have to dress appropriately. I suggest business attire or business casual. This will show that you are prepared for the interview and as a show of respect to the U.S. Embassy and the interviewing officer. Number 2, arrived early so you have enough time to feel the environment and be relaxed before the interview. Number 3, this is very, very important. Don't keep on checking your documents. That gives an impression that you are so nervous and that you are not prepared. If you missed anything, there's nothing else you can do, right? So just relax. And number 4, look at the officer during the interview and not on your folders. And answer the questions directly. The officer has a lot of duties and he has no time for your stories. Elaborate only when asked, especially the reasons why you will return to your home country. And then, you should be honest. When you have a spouse in the US or fiancé that you will visit, you have to be truthful because your answers will appear on your immigration records. Later on, you might be applying for a different type of visa, for example, a fiancé visa. You do not want to have inconsistent information on your files. This could hurt your application. The officers are trained to examine and dissect you, and they have means to find out the truth, especially now that everything is computerized. So just be yourself. Prepare, relax, and pray. And before you know it, you're already here in the US. That's it. Good luck on your visa application. Let me know how this video helps you during your application process. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Till my next video.